Hey guys, welcome to episode 12 of Down the Rabbit Hole. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the most famous places that can actually fall into dark academia as well. But I decided I'm going to put it with Down the Rabbit Hole just because I can. But if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell, and please hit that subscribe button. Help a girl out. I do have like four sister podcasts as well called True Crime Lounge, Just a Breezy Chat, Sassy Southern Belle, and Dark Academia Queen. So now I think like out of this podcast, Dark Academia Queen, True Crime Lounge, and Down the Rabbit Hole kind of all like they're in elements and where they're like perfect for each other, like but they're also very different from each other. As well. Sorry, my roommate's dog was doing something really funny. I had to get this really good picture of her. And she literally, like, she has, like, this sixth sense when I'm about to take a picture, but I don't think it's working right now. So I was able to really just get the whole picture. But anyway, um, we're going to be talking about Mount Olympus. So, what do we know about Mount Olympus? We know it's famous in Greek mythology about the 12 Olympians and all that, and I'm not even going to go into that whole detail. I'm just going to talk about the mountain of it and just go down a rabbit hole of it for a time being. But we know Olympus serves as one of the highest mountains in Greece. It stretches over 9,000 feet into the air, lies near the Aegean Sea, and near in the mountain is a very has great importance in Greek mythology, as I said, and it holds it is the home to 12 Olympian gods. One particular landmark is Stephanie, which serves from a mountain's steepest point, and the peak is also known as the throne of Zeus, who served as the king of gods and the gods under and the god of the sky and thunder. And the summit of Mount Olympus was finally reached in 1913. Unfortunately, there is no sign of Olympic gods. So, what do we know? Well, Mount Olympus um, is one of the highest mountain range in all of Europe. Today, the mountain is a national park, but once it snows, the mountain is seen as the home of the all-powerful Greek gods. So, from the time of Homer, Mount Olympus was regarded as the home to the gods of Greek mythology, and it is reported that it is made by the Olympian gods themselves. Now, according to legend, the Titans, who were the older gods, battled the younger gods, and the Olympians were control. When the younger gods defeated the Titans, they celebrated the victory by building the mountain. Now, the cloudy peaks were, they believed to be by seeing or created by deities that hide themselves from the human's prying eyes. So, what was Mount Olympus like? Well, to the Greeks, it was home. It was a home that was truly fit for gods. And the climate, a great climate all year long, it was a veritable paradise. And it's surrounded by the gates of clouds, in which was turned and guarded by the god of the seasons. And though there these gates of the Olympian gods, would have descend to earth to receive sacrifices or occasionally intervene as a human affairs. There are many stories I can go into, especially with demigods. Like the Percy Jackson series is a prime example of this, demigods and everything. But the best description for the home of the gods is in the epic poem The Iliad. And I'm not going to read that whole thing because that could take up like at least 10 minutes, possibly. But this describes the great palace of Olympus, including the thrones of Zeus, father of the gods, and his wife Hera. Now, Zeus' palace was the main structure in Olympus, and the tables and the other furnishings were all made by the god Hephaestus. And there were actually elaborate automations that would bring food and drink and require, and the gods would meet them at the Pantheon near Zeus's palace. Now, this was where the gods would assemble before the throne of the Father of Gods. The gods of the earth, river, seas, and nymphs were also considered here in the commands of Zeus and his judgments. So, every god who lived on Mount Olympus had his own place palace made of gold, precious jewels, and stones. There were a number of peaks on the mountain that is naturally Zeus's palace that was at its highest peak. Many have noticed similarities between a Homeric version of the Olympian Olympus and the ancient Greeks' Acropolis, in which the citadel is on high ground overlooking the city. So, who lived on Mount Olympus? Well, there were about 12 Olympian gods who all lived on Mount Olympus. This would include Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, Artemis, Athena, Aphrodite, and Demeter. All the great deities there, with the exception of Hades, the god of death, who had his own world and never visited the Olympian deities. But oh my gosh! So speaking of Zeus and Hera, there is a reels I watch and stuff where it's like with Death and Martha and all that, and it's like it's Flickerspark, I think that's her name. But it's so funny watching because I'm just like, yes, yes. And it has like Zeus working at the office because she was like a favorite of Hera because she threw him out for cheating and everything else. But anyway, back to the episode, shall we? I do recommend going and watch it though. But let's talk about the defeat of Typhon. And not long after the gods built Olympus, they were attacked by a monster Typhon. And he was a huge creature who had 100 dragon heads, all who breathed fire. And the monster was the son of Gaia, the personification of Earth. Now, when Typhon attacked the home of the gods, all of them fled apart from Zeus, Athena, and Dionysus. And Typhon and Zeus engaged in a cataclysmic battle, but the father of the Olympians emerged victoriously, and he was able to defeat Typhon by striking each of his 100 heads with a thunder or lightning bolt. Now later, Zeus will cast the monster into the Tartarus abyss, or buried it beneath Mount Etna in Sicily. So, how did the gods live on Mount Olympus? Well, they mostly enjoyed themselves in Olympus, and it was believed that many of them had great feasts, drank nectar, ate ambrosia on the mountain, and the latter was important as it kept them immortal. Now, when they were home, they would often view the fate of humans. Many of the gods and favorite heroes and humans with whom they tried to support. Um, Now, Homer portrayed the gods as spectating the pain and suffering of humans with, at best, indifference and many of them often with pleasure. In the Iliad, the gods are all fascinated by a Trojan War, with some of them shown supporting Greeks and the Trojans. Now, we all know about the Trojan horse and all that, so I don't have to go into that one. That's for a later on episode down the road. That might follow my Dark Academia podcast. Haven't more than likely it will. But anyway, now let's talk about briefly about the myth of Bellerophon. And this is when Zeus ordained that no human could ascend to Mount Olympus upon pain of death. And he tried to enter the home of the gods. According to legend, he was a Corinthian hero, famous for his monster Chimera. And Bellerophon was a favorite of the goddess Athena, and she helped him to capture the wings of a horse Pegasus. And he was so proud, however, that he wanted to join the Olympians. He acted as hubris in offense to divinities. And as he was flying toward the holy mountain, Zeus sent a fly to sting Pegasus. And when the fly sting the mythical horse, he drew him, who fell to earth and died. So this leads us to the sacred city of Dion. I might be mispronouncing it, but I'm terrible with names, so please excuse me. At the northeast foot of the mountain, there was a holy Macedonian city, and this was dedicated to Zeus and the other Olympian gods. It was also an important ritual full of palaces, temples, and villas. It also flourished from the 5th century BC until the Christianization of Greece in the 4th century AD. But what do y'all think of the real Mount Olympus? If you've ever been there and actually seen it, please let me know your experience about it in the comments. I am very curious. I do have several more topics. I hope y'all enjoy the first 12. I've been working really hard to get as much content as I can out. I do work 2 jobs, and I do have like 4 other podcasts that I have to get that I work on as well. So I've been doing my best. I've also been applying to many other jobs as well. Um, as well. But anyway, that's it for this episode. Join me next time as we talk about who knows what down this rabbit hole. Alright, I'll see y'all next time.